Hi, I'm Danny from Angler Tackling Gun. Welcome back to Tip Tuesday. Today we're going to go over pellets. There's lots of different types of pellets. There's lots of subcategories of pellets. There's slugs. You've got your hollow points, your domes, your heavies, your flats, your lead-free, and your pointed. Lots of different types. They each have different weights, different lead types. We're not going to go into that. That's a whole different subcategory. Yeah. But what we're going to do is roughly go through what each one can do, what they're used for, and what they're better at than some others. So one will have one job and one will have another. Domed is the most commonly used pellet in the airgun shooting community. The 844s is a standard weight. You can get heavier, which might benefit you if you're outdoor shooting. If you're indoor shooting, you don't need to worry too much about the weight, but you might find the weight gives you a little bit of benefit. But they're each their own on that. The only issue with weight is it tends to increase power depending on your rifle. So I have heard that if you shoot a spring gun, it will lower the power, whereas with a pre-charge it will increase it. I'm pretty sure TBT did a video on this. But so these are most commonly used one. So they're used for target shooting, hunting. Obviously, hunting is the same as pest control. Target shooting, HFT, and so on. So a couple of these might look the same to you, but it's the back of the pellet or the tin that has the information. So if we, for example, move some of these ones out of the way, we'll have a little. If I turn these two over, and if I nab these two from over here so I can show you. Right. The Barracuda FTs are the easy ones to read, but let's zoom in. Whee! So, on here, you've got 450. You can just about read 451. You've got 450, 451. There is a 452, but they're upstairs, and I'm not running upstairs. There's a 453. What this is the head size, not the skirt size. So hollow points are commonly used for pest control. I personally wouldn't shoot something with a hollow point further than sort of 30-40 yards, depending on which ones they are. So I found the typical old style ones like these, they tend to open up more as in the spread. So if I grab a piece of paper and a pen, at sort of 30 yards, you should be hitting in here. And then anything further, as you go out, it starts to spread open more and more. But that's the last time I shot a hollow point. These style ones, they tend to be a bit more consistent at longer range. So that's something to consider. Flatheads are mostly used for target shooting. So 10-meter targets. You can do 25 meters. I found they do really leave a nice clean hole, but that's tend to what they used to be for, is they're like wad cutters. So what they do is they cut the paper with a nice clean edge, so there's no tearing. With these ones, there's lots of different variations, like the Econ 2s. They are one of our cheaper ones, but they're still really good. And then you've got the more premium ones like the QYS and the H&N ones. You can use these if you don't have hollow points to hand, because they have a lot of impact as such if you want to do pest control, but they are primarily used for targets, paper targets. So pointed pellets, I personally don't get on with very well, as they're each to their own. I find that if, for example, it's not a true point, they can spiral off, but because of the point, you do have a high velocity / high penetration, just because of the point. The polymags are very interesting because they're a combination of pointed and hollow points. So for example, if I was just to grab the hollow points and undo one of these, so as you can see, they've got the little tips, so I don't have to bite one. Basically what happens is the tip will penetrate, and then the rest of the body of this pellet. That'll come out. So that'll come out, and then this will then open up into a hollow point. So you still have the trajectory as such as a pointed pellet, but then acts like a hollow point when it makes contact. Slugs can't be used in every rifle in the UK. A lot of rifles in the UK are choked barrels. There's only a few that aren't. Tends to be more of the FX range. The other ones that do have a choked barrel, for example, like your BSAs, your fire arcs, your air arms, so on and so forth, they have choked barrels. And if they're not high power, they do not have the energy to push them out consistently or accurately. I always find that, for example, if you're shooting with a slug, it needs to be a gun that is designed to shoot slugs, not just an everyday gun. Yes, they have a better ballistic coefficient, but if you can't get them to do it, then they're not very good. If we take a look at slugs compared to pellets, this is a slug. That's the front hole or the hollow point. This is the back. That's just flat, solid lead. If we take a look at a pellet in comparison, it has a skirt on the back. So what happens is when the air comes out of the transfer port into the barrel, the skirt opens up and then pushes against the edge of the barrel, making a nice seal, then flies out the barrel and obviously spins. There's nothing on this one, on the slug. Get the weight pellet. There's nothing on the slug to open up. So it's just raw force pushing that out and hoping that's going to work. So this is why having a choked one, because it will squeeze the end. So the choke barrel will squeeze and that will come out and that will go stuck and then lose most of its energy and pop out and won't shoot the same as a pellet. If, for example, your barrel, put that on there. If your barrel isn't choked, then you should be fine. But usually it's FAC guns, high power guns that use slugs. Also, you might have noticed the size difference between the slug and the pellet. So you might find that your magazine doesn't even fit it, fit slugs. So check that if you are going to do that. Lead-free pellets are a bit of an odd one. We don't sell loads of them. There are a few people that do like them, but they tend to be a lot lighter than your standard weight pellet. I think these ones are a 571. Yeah, 571 grain. And because they're not lead, they don't open up as well. But they're still, I think they're zinc based off the top of my head. But the only real reason you shoot these is if you're shooting near water or you're worried about contaminating said water. So a quick recap of the different types that we have, or I've quickly talked about. Flatheads, great for plinking, great for 10 meter target shooting. If you're doing paper targets and you want a clean hole, fantastic. Everyday stuff, if you're doing targets, if you're doing pest control, if you want to do a little bit of distance, they might be good. And so with these ones can be used, not the hollow points, but as in the heavyweight ones. So if I grab those ones, the heavyweight ones, because they are the same weight, heavy ones, same idea as this, can be used for everyday stuff, target shooting. But outside you will have an advantage with the heavyweights because you're not affected by the wind as much. Hollow points, mainly used sort of 35 to 40 yards maximum to shoot pests. What your pests are is usually rats. That's fine. Hollow points are mainly used for like an FX gun or high powered. There aren't many that can shoot a slug. That's my general guide for airgun pellets. Just to have a quick note, just because your mate's gun shoots one pellet well and you've got the same gun doesn't mean it's going to like it as well. Every barrel is different. Unfortunately, it's all about test, 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 and repeating the test. Check your groupings, check your barrels clean, and then you can have it too clean, which is also another story. But it's all about trial and error. You might find that your gun likes 4.51s, and your mate guns likes 4.53s. Yours might like heavies, his might like lights. It's all about trial and error. But that is all for Tip Tuesday.